Good evening, minions. How are you? So, per your guys' request, we're going to do Sand River tonight. So I'm going to do this in 3 videos. So video 1 is going to be the map overview. Video 2 is going to be a replay and me going through and showing exactly what I'm explaining in this video. And kind of giving you guys something to be able to see visually of how this unfolds. And the third part is going to be the training video tonight, recording all of us being in. So, I guess the first thing I should start off and say is Sand River is an extremely open map. It is very difficult to get arty safe, with the exception of just not getting spotted. With the exception of up here, being the only area that is really artillery safe. So, I guess we'll start off with the lights. So the lights will generally come into this area and start surfing this ridge right here. Okay, and then you'll also have lights that'll want to come down in here and spot. So the key to succeeding in a light is to be able to get your viewports up and over these hill lines and be able to spot the enemy without exposing yourself, because you're going to have TD lines back here, and the instant you pop up and you meet their light tank right here, you're just going to get farmed if you're just sitting on top of this hill or jump over. So it is very vital for you as a light tank to stay alive, because you are going to give so much valuable information, as in how many tanks are coming into this area, how many tanks are coming into this area, where did they send any mediums or TDs down in this area. I mean, same thing with this. So as a light tank, do not, and I cannot stress this, do not just try to jump and sand dune all about the map. You need to stay alive. You have this hard cover that you can surf. And by surfing, I mean quite literally just driving along the hill and trying to get your gun or your cupola over the hill to be able to see and keeping yourself safe. So, light tanks, please just don't YOLO. Now we'll move on up to mediums. So mediums are going to have a far more impact on this map, because there are a lot of open ground and there is a lot of open ground, and there are a lot of, I'm not going to say ambush areas, but flanking points. So a lot of times mediums will come here right off the bat, or here. I find this to be less successful. In fact, I find this to be the better spot as an counter to this. And anybody that is trying to make a mad dash up this lane, which I do not recommend, these guys will just farm the crap out of, right? I mean, if a heavy tank decides to kind of trundle along this way, this guy's going to have shots, right? So this is usually where I see mediums start off. I sometimes start off here, but since everyone's kind of figured out that they need to go this way, this just doesn't really get any shots, except for trying to apply pressure off this scout. So I will generally come up here and play. And you have a lot of rock formations, a lot of hills, ways to poke. Same thing with this. Now, the difference between these two sides are that if I'm on the south spawn side, I can come up, I can then branch into 3 different points. I can be here, or I can be in here, and there are some rocks over here that I can play off of. Okay, so there's much more room to be able to move, whereas this is a corridor, right? I come in here, there is only one spot I can pop up at. So a lot of times what will happen is the south spawn will get the advantage and be able to push into this, okay? And then the next thing you know, they're in your face right here, okay? So alternatively, you can sit here and try to shoot any medium or light tank that tries to spot or gets shots here. Okay, now as a medium tank, you totally can be here, and that's perfectly viable, but I just don't feel like I impact anything there. I don't feel like I'm applying pressure to this hill. I mean, the only thing that this position is really good for as a medium is if these guys push up, there is no one here, you can run straight across, get right here, and start to put shots in behind them, okay? And then they're pincered, they're cut off, okay? So they've got a chunk through you, and you have this entire hill line to be able to stop TDs from shooting at you. Now, the key to doing this is to not be spot when you cross this area. So he cannot be here. if you're wanting to cross. He either has to be dead or up here. Okay, so just remember that, and vice versa. You can do the same thing. Should there only be 1 or 2 tanks up here, and you've put 4 up here, your tanks can run across, get in these guys' faces, and you can come down here, and the instant that they try to retreat, you can start putting side shots into them. Now, I do not recommend that you try to get up in here and try to cut them off, because if you run up here, you are exposing your entire backside to their TD line back here. Okay, there is 0 cover here. This is all uphill. So you want to take this position, section yourself off from TDs from here, and anybody that tries to fall back, you get the shots on. That is the only way that you can cut the north off from the south spawn. So just be very cautious of that. Now, to flip onto the south side real quick. So the south side has this big hill right here. Okay, so they have a lot of little folds and terrains that gives them a lot of cover, and especially how tall this section and this section are. They can roll up safely unspotted and shoot any tanks in the middle or any tanks in here. So a lot of times, mediums especially, and I cannot stress that American mediums or very good gun depression with a solid turret mediums will do fantastic here, because they can pop the ridge, shoot, and roll back. And even if they get hit, they're exposing their strongest part of their tank. So, that being said, mediums will like to play in here, and so will light tanks. I think it's very, very important that a light tank try to kind of play in this area, surf these ridges, and get spots, and see what they can. I mean, if there's no opposition all the way through here, like let's say they just put this light tank and you've got 3 medium tanks, you guys can push over and take this. Now, the problem is this becomes a corridor, and TDs will like to sit over here too. But they'll also like to sit on this ridge, and that gives them elevation to be able to shoot in here. It becomes very, very difficult for you to push this safely without some form of vision. And because of that, once again, light tanks, please stay alive. And you are so much more valuable than you think you are. Just because you have so little HP and no armor and your gun sucks doesn't mean that you need to go rolling in at YOLO speeds and just kill yourself. You need to try to stay alive. Do not take unnecessary risks. There is so much terrain here that you can use to keep yourself alive. So yeah, mediums will want to, there we go, medium tanks will want to come down here. And sometimes, if I've seen that my light tank has run up and gotten into this position, and there is maybe a tank back here and nothing over here, so like light tank's off to the side somewhere else, I will try to take this position. And there is this divot on the red line here that allows you to get your tank. Even Russian tanks can do this, and it's part of the reason why I want to do that, get in this position. And you can fire at anything down here, and you are hull down, you got your turret just poking over, and you got your gun just basically laying on the sand dune, and you're popping shots down this corridor, and all you have to do is just roll back, reload, roll back up, and it's kind of like getting into a barricade right in front of you, right? I mean, you're completely hauled down. You've got your barrel over it. Very, very nice spot. Problem is, Artie can figure out what you're doing pretty quickly, and if they know the spot, they'll just start hammering it, and it just, watch out for Artie. So, that being said, that's the north side. So the south side, a lot of times it becomes a stalemate right in here. Right, you'll get your tanks here, and what they'll try to do is put their mediums up here, and I've done this many a time from the north spawn, come and place myself right here, and been able to protect myself from the TD fire, wait for these guys to shoot at let's say a buddy that's over here, and then roll up enough, turn my turret and shoot this guy, and then roll back. Right, and then I'm cutting these guys off. They're trapped. They're dealing with another medium tank that is, that's like right here. And what we're doing is theoretically pincering them. They don't want to run because that means they're going to get shot in the ass, but they're still getting shot in the ass by me. So, or by whatever tank is there. So one thing you have to watch out for on the on this side is getting jumped on, right? I mean, these people cutting you off here and these people pushing you up over here, right? You cannot try to take this pocket because you cannot try to take this pocket without support, right? You need to know that this TD is back here and that you have one here that can fire at these guys. So if they jump up and over, right, they just get hammered, okay? And it becomes a mistake for them to be able to try to pincer you off like that. And so be very cautious when you're trying to enter this corridor because of that, because they have a lot of terrain that they can hide people. And all it is, I mean, like once they're in this little pocket right here, TDs can't hit them. It is very difficult for them to hit them. I mean, like maybe if they're out here, but I mean, there is a huge shadow against TDs in here that allows for these guys to be able to push up as aggressively as this. So if you're coming into this pocket, you got to make sure that these guys aren't being hyper aggressive. You got to make sure that these guys that you have backup. So, I mean, this guy's got to be with you, and maybe your light tank, and you need to have even number of guns. If you don't have even number of guns, run. Fall back to a position over here. Okay. What will happen is you will turn this corridor right here into their graveyard. Okay, because they'll come running up and go, "Oh, hey man, there's no one here." Jump over, and then they are just open season. So, so just be very careful about the south side. So that pocket can turn really bad really fast. So same thing if you try to be hyper aggressive and jump over here, you are going to get caught into a pocket of no support from your allies, and they have the support of this hill and the cover, and they can just kind of roll down, and there's this little valley next to this hill, and that allows them to put shots at you, and you are having a really hard time trying to get the shots and stay safe and not get and these guys are completely safe from your TD line. Okay, because I mean maximum draw box will even stop like right in here. So so just be cautious about that. Now, moving on to heavy tanks. So, heavy tanks generally only, this is a rough map for heavies. Okay, so heavy tanks can go pretty much so anywhere the mediums go. But once they commit to that side, there is no getting back. This is all soft terrain. There are no real hard roads. I mean, these are all medium terrain, okay, or medium ground resistance. I'm sorry. This is all soft ground resistance. Okay, so these heavy tanks are even slower in this stuff. So just be very careful when you commit to a side. So a lot of times I will see the heavies go into this area, and this is not a mistake. In fact, I play in here a lot. And what you will see is someone will pretty much so take this position, and a very brave soul will try to take this position. I'd only recommend like maybe like rear-turreted Russian tanks or something of that nature to try to take this position, because what'll happen is you can section yourself off, and of course I grab that, and like a dude can be right here, but since this guy isn't poking, you're literally facing down 2 guns to your 1, right? So it becomes very difficult for you to be able to deal with that. An already safe area is to be into this pocket, and an already safe area is to be into this pocket. And I mean, because you have this giant rock outcropping, and essentially what happens is everybody huddles around the same damn rock, right? So it becomes into a peaking battle, and then sometimes you'll have this TD right here be able to fire all the way down, right? And then you might have a double up TD like this, that way they can apply pressure here. And same thing here, this guy can fire all the way down, and oop, not that guy. Now let's go ahead and delete him. But then you can have this guy be able to shoot into here, but he's not going to get the same corridor length angle as him. So just be very careful, trade, count the shots, count the timer, recognize that if I'm up against an IS-3 that he's got a 12-second reload time. Okay, count out your 12 seconds, you have that window to shoot, roll back. If he misses his shot, guess what? Cool, shoot him. Take your time, shoot him. So another thing I see heavy tanks do is they will come up into this city. Now, I want to note that this is all destructible cover. There are no hard buildings in here except for maybe this guy right here. Okay, this is probably the only piece of hardcover there is, and it is a crappy piece of hardcover to grab. Okay, because if you get up here with it, you're still getting shot at whatever TD might be over here, because they will play along this entire ridge. And same thing if you get over here. This is a better spot, not gonna lie, for red side, for north side, but you can easily have a tank get up on this hill, on this ramp, and be able to put shots into you. Um, which I'd also like to note that there are some outcropping rocks right here that you can drive up to and shoot people at this hill. Problem is once they figure out where you're at, it becomes really tough to try to get away. So I would not recommend going to the second highest little rock formation. I'd say stay with the lowest and try to put shots at anybody that is silly enough to poke over this hill to try to shoot anybody that's along this or anybody that's in the town. So that being said, this would be more favorable for red side to take. So, but I still don't recommend it. I mean, it's just you're not completely covered except for by Artie and these TDs. And if these guys take this south section, I just really don't, in general, recommend this town at all because even if you're not spotted, you destroying buildings is so noticeable, right? Oh, hey, there was totally a building there. Oh, better pre-aim at this spot here, already shot. I mean, it's those kinds of things. So just be very careful when you're coming in here because the more fighting that you do in this area, the less cover you have. And it's also very hard to see where the enemy is until they proxy spot. So, I mean, like, there'll be a lot of times the tanks will be like this close and they'll never know that they're there, right? Until they're like here and then then it's too late. Then you're in this fight, and then all the TDs are bearing down on you, right? And then they're just trying to pepper shots in on you. So it's very difficult, not very safe. But like I said, that all the medium tanks can, or all the heavy tanks can go where the mediums are. So I mean, like if you're in, like I said, an American heavies, like a T-29 would be perfect for trying to take like a position over here, or sit back here, and then when they push over, shoot them. I mean, you can totally go into these areas or go up here. But it is just you have to remember that once you go those ways, you are committing to that flank. There is no return to go back to this middle section because they didn't put enough troops. Be very, very careful of that. So now we're going to go on to TDs. So north side TDs generally just keep on their platform, right? So they generally are up here, and you'll get a few that'll come down this side. So there is a ridge line that it kind of snakes around like this, and especially this one. And these guys will run up there and try to stay already safe, or not already safe, but stay unspotted, block shots, jump up, and then shoot at tanks. Sometimes they'll get shots in on this position. Most of the time, they're trying to stop anybody that's in the town or anybody that's over here. So they'll also move up here with these tanks and try to fight from this hill. So I've also seen like heavier Russian TDs get into this position, like I had said, and start shooting down this corridor. So just watch out that this entire area may have TDs in it. Okay, now they're just gonna pop up like whack-a-mole, right? And they're just gonna roll up, shoot, and roll back, and then disappear, and then go to a different location, roll up, shoot, and disappear, and the entire time you're completely exposed. So these TDs, the greatest things that they can provide is if this gets overrun, right? If north side gets overrun, these TDs are vital because they can pop shots out and take out tanks. It's very useful, but this kind of gives a lot of cover in here if you're pushing from the south to their north spawn and trying to come in through their north entrance. So watch out here and make sure that you catch these guys if they try to hop over. If you're one of these guys. And if they try to do something stupid like jump over this sand dune to get into this sand dune, I mean, you can hit them. Or if they try to use this little gap here, like, oh, I'm completely safe, to pepper them. Just take them out. The cool part is that this little destructible town really isn't all that much cover, and all it really provides is a little bit of soft cover, as in the terms of some of these treetops might block some vision, but you're elevated enough to be able to shoot over all this. So that's never an issue. Um, just note, if you're one of these camping TDs back here, it is perfectly okay to be camping, but I'd say try to take a more proactive approach. Sometimes you have to wait for the enemy to come to you, but other times, like you can fight from like this spot. This is a good spot because it's, yes, are you camping this platform? Yes, you are, but you are providing a corridor shot. But as soon as these heavy tanks push through and they're over here and you no longer get shots, then don't just stay here and just expect shots to magically appear. I mean, you might want to push up and take a position over here. I mean, depending on how your southern flank is doing, or you might want to roll up and take a position over here and help out these guys, right? I mean, you're a TD, you can flex relatively. Um, Same thing with, I mean, this guy, he is pretty much so only really there when this loses. Okay, so try to start off somewhere. I mean, like if you want to start off over here and then recognize that your north is losing, you have plenty of time to run back and take this position. So just try to play a more flexible role. Um, this guy, I kind of feel like he's another one of these spots, and so is the dude that would take this position. He is definitely a copy of this spot. So this is a spot when this gets lost and this gets lost. Okay, so honestly, I say try to take a more proactive approach. This guy, however, is pretty much so the equivalent of this spot. So he can get corridor shots down and he covers this flank. Okay, so he kind of does these TDs and this TD's job, right? And then you can take up this position to be more like these guys. Um, so he is going to be pretty exposed because you're trying to get up on top of a rock and you're trying to shoot down these corridors, and there's a handful of rocks. So you're kind of going into a position that if you get shot and someone pings on the map and goes, "Yo, TD's sitting right here," Artie can figure it out. They can just go, "Oh, if he's right there, here, let me just lob a shot, see what hits," right? And then you're getting shot and you're not even spotted. So just heads up on that. Be careful. Shoot, roll back, go somewhere else. I mean, like hit multiple of these areas, and then just play smart. Okay, don't just sit there and think that because you're not seen that they don't know where you're at. So, um, pretty much so covers the TD positions. I mean, other than this being very, very vital if this section falls, I have been ground to a halt for this. Now, your artillery pieces, they'll play pretty much so same way as any map. They try to find a spot to get cover. I've seen them play over here. I've seen them play down here. Now, this is generally like a don't see me spot, and it kind of limits their field of vision. Well, their field of fire, because if they're too close. I do not recommend going down in here, but I have seen them down here. But yeah, so they'll try to play in this area right in here and try to keep themselves hidden with one of the sand dunes and still get their shots up and over. Um, TDs, or not TDs, but Arties, I would have to say my recommendation for you guys is it's going to be very hard to hit up here, but if you can put shots into this corridor, especially from the south side, pepper them, right? And I know Artie can hit up into here, especially like a position like this, but I mean, a position like down in here is going to be super hard. Help out this south side as much as you can, and I would prioritize these two zones because you are going to be wasting a lot of time trying to find a shot up in here, and hitting these little light tanks is going to be very difficult. I would say, I mean, since these guys can get already safe, I would prioritize this over this, and then go 1, 2, and then 3 as your prioritization zones. Um, that's just because if you can bust this flank, these guys get pincered. So now we'll move into kind of like a mid-game to late-game phase of the game, and what you will see quite often is this will continue to brawl out for most of the game, and it's really dependent upon who wins this section, okay? Because if this side wins, these guys can take all the way up to here, and then they can cut off these heavies, right? I mean, suppose that this TD's not here, or well, no, that TD is always going to be there. So, but you can cut them off right in here. Like you can get your medium tank right into this position, and you're putting side shots into these guys, and they've got a turn, which then allows your heavy tanks to roll up. And I mean, the same thing happens with red side, is they'll get all the way out to here, and they're fighting off these TDs, and once these TDs are dead, they can either roll into the base or they can flex down into here and get side shots and rear shots on these tanks in here. So this area can very much so influence this little pocket. Okay. So, and remember, when you are in here, this becomes very difficult to influence anything outside of these two zones. You are very locked into a corridor. So, um, a lot of times, what will happen is these guys will take this north corridor, okay, and they'll get stuck right here, right? By placing a medium tank or falling back, recognizing that you do not have enough tanks, which my replay that I have is I do this, okay? We give up this entire north section, and I play in here, and there are 2 light tanks here, and these guys, and we have one of our light tanks over here. So it's kind of a weird way that it plays out, but I stop these guys right here. I stop a T69 and an RU in here, and what ends up happening is we collapse this entire section, and it's determined here. We win the north without having to go to the hill and fight up there by fighting in this here. Okay, so simply putting a tank here can actually stop this because they have to turn this corner and run into a corridor. And you can just keep pumping shots and you can stay safe. The only thing that was bothering me was artillery. So, I mean, like, even the tanks here couldn't hit me, right? I mean, so this right here can be stopped. And if these guys do make it through, like you're outgunned, there's only one of you up there, right? And you're fighting 3 of these tanks, then you can fall back to here, and these guys are going to have to fight all the way up into this corridor, right? And they will always come here. And if they try to pass themselves around this way, they've still got to deal with these TDs on this side. You can ping them, they're trapped. You can roll forward, put shots into their butts, and that's, I mean, this is a decent position to fight from to stop them from entering here. And if you can get them into these little choke points that they must go through, then you'll start to have a much more successful time fighting these overmatches, because a lot of players will not recognize that they need to just rush you, okay? And they will waste too much time sitting there going, well, I don't know what to do, George, what do we do? And they'll want to run around the corridor, like run into the corridor, and they'll start doing it single file, right? Instead of, I'm reloaded. Well, I've got a clip. Let's go, right? And then 3 tanks are coming at you, and you just lose all your HP. So a lot of times you'll fight one-on-one because these guys will decide not to rush you all at once. And there are plenty of times that you should totally lose a fight, but they just throw it because they don't think about that. So mid to late game with heavies, I mean, so once again, you still have to deal with this TD or this TD right here if you push through. So remember, once you get through with the heavies, that it's, I mean, you're not home free, ready to take their base. Try to utilize this rock, recognize where your buddy or you have been shot from from a TD point of view. I mean, like, oh man, Bob just got nailed for 500. It's a holy crap. What hit him, right? I mean, like, ask him. I literally ask him, dude, what hit you? I just saw all your HP just go away. And then he'll be like, oh, well, this tank out here, and I'm pretty sure he's here. And then he'll ping the map, and you're like, I've got an idea of where this sucker's at. Okay, and then you can plan accordingly. One of my favorite sayings, and I'm probably gonna mess up this quote, is water shapes its course over the terrain in which it flows. So too shall a soldier work out his victory in relation to the foe. Just as water retains no constant shape, there is no constant condition. There are no constant conditions in warfare. I know there was some like next level Sun Tzu stuff, but you can apply that to any scenario in this game. Go, what am I facing? What am I really facing? How do I have to move myself? I mean, where do I need to go to keep myself safe from this opponent versus this? So just remember, TD line is always behind the heavy line, especially on this map. Like, there are going to be TDs firing over top these heavies. So even if you kill off all of these guys, right, and you and your buddy Bob here are wanting to roll up, remember that this is open season in here. So you're going to want to run up like this and try to get to this rock as quick as possible. You're going to want to count their reload times. If they get spotted, you want to poke and put a shot into them. You want to kill these TDs, right? Because if these guys are here, you can't even make it to this platform like this without having TDs just bearing down on you, right? And it becomes very difficult to pin some of these guys because, I mean, like in higher tiers, you're going to be dealing with Foshes, you're going to be dealing with SUs, you're going to be dealing with the Grandiosos 2684. I mean, you're going to be dealing with a lot of these super big TDs, Yag Tigers, Yagzillas, I mean, like the whole 9 yards. You're going to be dealing with a lot of these bigger TDs that are trying to fight from these positions. So, heavy tanks, please, 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 please be careful about that. Because you guys are still very vital even in this late phase, especially if you've been able to conserve your HP pool, because you might have a little medium tank that comes running up and going, man, I am on like one shot. You're going to have to tank this hit, right? And you're going to try to have to be smart and work with your teammates because this is a high ground and this becomes very difficult. Now, inversely, let's go back to the north and let's say that these guys are the ones that have fallen, right? And you have pushed your way down into their base. Okay, this pocket right here is excellent for applying pressure on these TDs because these guys have to overexpose themselves to get you, and they usually back off. And what will happen is because you have made these guys fall off of this, your heavy tanks can roll up. Okay, or another set of tanks can roll up into this pocket, and then you start to apply pressure here. Okay, so this is vital. If you take this area and you know that you can make it all the way down here without getting completely messed up, take it. But I will say this. If you know that these TDs are still sitting here, you are the only one that is sitting up top, okay, it is perfectly okay to fight from this position. You will stay outside of their draw box. Your light tanks need to do their job of lighting the enemy and running around on this hill and just getting spots on these guys. Okay, if that happens, you in this position can work these guys down. So, just heads up, if you are the only tank that has made it through, these guys you know are still on full HP. Please, 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 please play very smart. And you can fight back here. And I've been here, had a lot of people sit there and yell at me going, you need to push these guys. If you push, you die. There are 2 huge freaking TD guns sitting here. Okay, they are going to turn on you in a heartbeat, and there is nothing you can do. You won't be able to spot them. You won't even be able to return a shot because these guys, this is all open ground. Your light tank must help you. Okay, once again, light tanks, very important of why you need to stay alive because in the mid to late game, you are everything when trying to dig out these TDs, because if you're running around and you can get that spot when that dude shoots and he should have stayed unlit, but because you're in a key position he gets lit, this dude can take the shot, right? He can do your damage for you. So it is super vital that you as a light tank stay alive. I cannot stress this anymore. So let's say that you went on the south side, okay? You then come pushing in. You're going to take a position in here and start fighting these guys. You're going to probably fight the TD that's here, and then you are pretty much so in the back of their base. You are killing these TDs that are in this pocket, and you can fight from right here and take everything out. If your buddy hasn't made it up here yet, then you become the reason that these guys back off, right? So you're going to want to fight from, there's a little hill right in here that you can fight from. The biggest thing that you have to worry about is the dude that's up here. Okay, if you get here, this dude can just turn and just start beating your ass. So watch out for him. But the cool part is that means that he's no longer shooting your heavy allies. So heads up on that. So from the north side, attacking, these are the key points that once you start whittling down the opponents, this is where you want to come in at. Now, let's throw this all into reverse and say that you're green side and that you are trying to push through. So we got a medium tank. So we already explained trying to attack this or trying to defend from this. So let's explain key points about attacking from this. So as a medium tank, you want to come down in here and you want to try to take this back corridor. Do not try to cross over these, and if you outnumber any tank that may be in this position, run him over. If you guys have the HP pool, if you guys haven't taken any damage, do not hesitate to just run this guy down. Whoever takes the most damage then falls back. So, like, let's say it's him. He falls back, and then this dude rotates. If you take this guy out, you just wait here a moment, wait until you drop spot, and then you assault this. Okay, and the smartest way to do this is to just try to keep poking these guys and try to stay safe and just pressure these guys off. And this is once again where the light tanks come in, very key. Just like in this position for these guys, you as a light tank need to take up a position along this area and start hunting down these TDs. These guys take a pop shot at one of these guys, you need to be there to be able to light them. If you aren't, your team's never going to be able to just pick these guys apart. So, much like how this position is for pulling these TDs off, you can, as a medium tank or as any tank, be able to get into this position. And you can even snake yourself up against this rock, and you can totally take these positions out. All of these guys are going to be worried about the heavies down in here, right? So these heavies will then try to push through, and these guys are what keeps them. This is their counter position. Not only that, but you can do basically this area's work, and this area's work from this position. So this is the linchpin in their entire platform. So just be very careful. Don't get dunked on by Artie, because of course Artie's going to be looking your way. So just a heads up on that. Be very careful about climbing this hill. So heavies, as you push through here, you might have a heavy tank that will fall back to here. And then next thing you know, you're at the next rock that you have to take. And so just be very careful about these TDs and just poke and try to take these TDs out as best as you can. Be safe, and then let's say he's not here. Then you can certainly get into a pocket like right here. And there's a ridge line that comes like this, and these TDs have to either come out and around, or they have to jump up and over. And usually you can put a shot through their belly, right, when they do this. So this is a low ground pocket, but the problem is that you don't influence anything else. Like, you can't get shots in on these guys unless you drive all the way out here, which gives this guy side shots on you. So this is more of a pressure point on this dude, right? I mean, he can recognize that, oh, well, he can't hit me if I don't move, I can't hit him, who cares, right? But he stays proxy spotted, which allows these mediums to fire off, or mediums that have taken this area to fire off. Now, moving into this section, so a lot of times what will happen is these guys will be able to take this hill, right? And what will end up happening is these guys will either die or run, and especially if you outnumber them. Now, this is, like I said, all a numbers game, right? I mean, if there are 5 tanks down here and 3 here, there is next to zero way, unless these guys single file, that these 3 will beat these 5, okay? So if it's an even match, it's whoever pokes smarter, right? So I mean, like, you got 3 mediums versus 3 mediums. Who did the most effective blocking of their damage? Who neutralized the opponent's shots or made them miss and do 0 damage, and you traded effectively with? That's what you're looking for. So that being said, you're going to want to push into this corridor and try to take out these TDs. Okay, so once these TDs drop off, you are going to be able to push all the way up into here, and then this is where you, at this position, want to pressure this guy off. Okay, if you can push him off, you can help out your north flank, and this is huge. It's vital, right? And then you can poke around and then start taking these guys out. But from here, you do not want to just go, woo, let's go get Artie, because these two are going to turn around and just nuke you. It's going to be not good. So be patient at this position. If you can't see these guys because they're still well bushed, or your camo, or not your camo, your vision isn't very good, then just wait for someone to light it. Okay, you have teammates. These guys are going to take a shot at him. Just be safe. I mean, even hide back here for a moment, right? Make sure that they can't hit you or can't see you, right? And then the instant these guys shoot, because you see them get spotted, you can just roll out, see their shots, and then just go, oh, okay, well, they've got 12 seconds to reload. Pow, pow, right? Okay, and then roll back. So another thing that you can do is if these guys are not here for whatever reason, you can totally pincer these guys in this area and get this moving, unclog this drain and get the water moving. So that's pretty much so from each side how to assault each base. Sitting here thinking like that. Yes, there are a few times that I have seen the entire enemy team on red side give up their base and play in this back pocket. And this is they feel like they're losing. The North has won. These guys abandoned the platform because they don't want to defend it, and their heavies have lost. Okay, I will see these guys jump back here every now and again. Just cap them out. Don't try to push into this meat grinder. This gets so bad because you get these tanks that'll try to fit into this corridor, much like this little area here. These guys have to come out and around, and you've got TDs bearing down on you. I mean, you can't do it. Just cap them. Oh, these guys have to come out. If you've got 2 or 3 tanks here, just tell them hold up, hop on cap, and make them move. So yeah, I've only seen red side do this. I've only seen the west spawn, north spawn, do this. So just a heads up on that. So other than that, that concludes the video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you have any comments or concerns, feel free to leave them in the video comment section down below, and I would be more than happy to help out. My fellow minions, feel free to talk to me about this. You guys see me on in TeamSpeak. Just I'm here, answering any question you guys got. So have a good day.